No, I don't have a problem with that. In fact, that's probably a good idea. Can you hear me? That I don't have a problem with that. In fact, that's probably a good idea to do.
Yeah, okay. Okay, can you hear us?
I can't hear you, Brandon. Thank you.
Okay.
And your wife is hi, Claudia, is that right?
Yeah.
Hi, Claudia. I'm Detective McDermott. I'm actually helping out my partner at work who's got a case going on with Brandon. Brandon Boudreaux, I don't know how much you know about that. Did he kind of talk to you guys about what's been going on?
Oh, yeah.
Well, not everything, and we just didn't want to get involved in many things, so we didn't ask many questions. The only thing is that, of what happened to him, and we just kind of scared, and, after I seen her, talk to her, I'm just like, I'm very scared. We were actually going to go, try to get a restriction order or something, because she's seeing a police report at least, so that way, it's noted that, because of the things that she said, she accused me for hiding the kid at my house.
So let me.
And she said, yeah.
Let me back up just a little bit and kind of start from the beginning. So my understanding is your friend Brandon had spent the night over at your house at one point within the last couple of weeks with all 4 of his kids. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. And then between that time and then I think, Brandon, you had said that Melani had come over on Friday. Is that right?
Yeah, Friday. Yeah, Friday evening.
Okay. Prior to that Friday evening, had Melani tried to make contact with either one of you guys reference Brandon?
No.
Okay. So I don't... Just kind of, were Brandon, were you and Claudia both home on Friday when Melani came over?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So can you kind of give me a rundown of what happened from beginning to end?
Okay. So I was going to the mall, and I was backing out of my garage, and then all of a sudden Melani was there. It totally scared me. I stopped my car, I got out of my car, and I went and give her a hug because, I haven't seen her in a while, and I was like, I know she's going through a lot, so, she's still my friend. I want to give her a hug, and I say, hey, so how you doing? How's everything and everything? She looked at me, and she said, can you please go, hi, I'm here to pick up my kids. And I'm like, what? What kids? She's like, my kids, I know they're inside. The spirit told me my kids are here, and I'm going to get reunited with them. So would you please go get them? I know they're here. And I said, Melani, no, your kids are not here. I'm so sorry. She said, no, the spirit told me my kids are here. So they are here. And I said, Melani, I'm so sorry. They're not here. If you want to get in my house, I'm totally open to the idea. So I called Brandon, so I called my Brandon, and then I said, babe, open the door. Melani is here. Brandon freaked out, and he opened the door. And at this point, I'm like, I have nothing to hide. So I let her into my house. She's still looking around, trying to see if, she's still looking around, maybe trying to look for something that will guide her to her kids.
Yeah, because when I opened the door, she's like, oh, yeah, I'm here to pick up my kids. I'm like, oh, well, they're not here. She's like, yeah, I really, really feel like they are.
Okay.
That's when Claudia and I both were like, well, come on in. And she comes through our living room into our family room, sits down on the couch, and Claudia and her chatting.
She was a little nervous to be there. So was I. I was just scared, and I feel like she could feel that. So she stood up, and she said, "Well, I gotta go." And so she stood up and walked out close to the door. And when we were at the door, she asked Brandon to call.
So she said that if you guys know where Brandon is, like, you really should let me know. I'm just worried about my kids.
He's in
and
trouble.
I'm like, yeah. And Melanie was trying to get it out of me. He's like, well, you're pretty close with Brandon. Like you probably know where he is. And I told her, I'm like, honestly, I haven't talked to him in a few weeks. So, I mean, and she's like, well, if you talk to him, like, he's involved in some really dark things and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what kind of things, Melanie? And I'm like, things with Clear, which is an old company, which, you know, and she's just like, just some dark things. And I'm like, what the heck? Anyways, she's like, yeah, so I don't know, would you be able to call him right now? And I'm like, no, Melanie, I'm not going to get involved. Like, I'm not going to call Brandon right now for you. So she leaves. She walks out the door. She gets, this whole time, by the way, there was an SUV, her SUV on in front of our house with a guy in it, which I thought was like her private investigator or something. Anyway, so she goes out and she sits in the car. They're out in that car for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, just sitting out there. And Claudia and I are kind of freaked out. Like, Claudia and I we jumped to conclusions where we thought, okay, maybe she has a private investigator and they're trying to hear what Claudia and I are talking about, or she's waiting for me to make a phone call to Brandon and she's going to, like, tap the phone call. Anyway, I didn't call Brandon or anything, but Claudia and I were just kind of, like, whispering to each other, like, this is so weird, what should we do? And so what we decided to do was call our neighbor over and bring the kids over to play in the driveway. So it would be awkward if we're all in the driveway, and hopefully they would leave, right?
Okay.
So that's what we did. We're in the driveway, and they're still there, man. They're still in their SUV in front of my house.
For 45 minutes.
So Claudia goes out, walks to the street, and says, whatever you said.
And then I said, is everything okay? And she looked at me and she said, yes, I'm just trying to make some phone calls and trying to do what you do. And, Brandon is into very dark stuff. And I said, well, I don't know, Melanie, but you are kind of freaking me out right now because I don't know what it is. And she had suitcases in the back of that car, and she had a car seat ready to go where I don't even know where.
Right.
After that, I looked at the guy and I said, who's this guy? It was that white, the late 40s, bald guy. And he was looking, and then I look at him, and he wouldn't not even look at me. Like, he wouldn't even look at me. He kept on looking and stuff on his phone. That happens. I went inside of the house again with the kids, and at this point, my neighbor comes out, and I tell her, oh, did you see that SUV that was standing right there? My friend thinks I have her babies, and I'm scared of what she's going to do now because I don't have any babies. She's like, well, that's very freaky. And right after that, she left. And I was like, oh, well, good, she left. 20 minutes later, she comes back across the street from us. I don't think she saw us because it was getting dark. And then she comes out and she stands right there. So I was like, what the frick? Like that, this is like very freaking me out. So I walk out to them and I look at them again, like to make sure they see me.
Like, yeah, they're like parked like just like maybe one or two houses down the street.
And then after I do that, make sure they saw me, they freaked out, I think, I don't know. They drove again. They drove, they left. And they came back again. Like they were doing 2 rounds around my house. And that was like the most scary thing ever. And when on Facebook, she said, I am very sorry for you and your family. And I'm just like, I don't know what she was referring to. Well, so I am just scared.
Well, because what she said, she did say at one point, you guys have an awesome family, family, and I'm just worried about you guys too.
Yes.
And then she would talk, and then she got to the point where she said, you guys have a wonderful family, like, Brandon's involved in some dark things, like,
don't get involved.
If you guys know what's good for you, like,
in your family, just tell me where he is. And then I'm going to get my kids, and everything's fine.
That was a straight-up threat.
So, okay, and I'm sorry, what happened after that?
What's that?
What happened after that?
Nothing. I mean, she was just driving around and for a while, and then nothing.
Okay.
We didn't hear anything from her. But,
All right.
dude, I was scared because the guy that was with her, I didn't know if it was like, you know, I don't know what, I mean, you know, I just didn't know what, if she is convinced that her kids are in my house, which they're not, but she's a mom, and if she's convinced, I don't know what she's going to do to, like, break in or something. So I stayed up all night, like, on lookout because I was scared, man. You know?
Right. Okay, so that was Friday. What time, Claudia, what time were you leaving for the mall when she was outside the house, approximately? What time was that?
I was around 5:30. 5:36.
Okay. And then, and so she asked if the kids were there. You guys let her in to say the kids weren't there. And she told you that a spirit told her that the kids were over there? Did I hear that right?
Yes.
Okay.
She said the spirit told me that the kids are here, and then the spirit told me also that I'm going to get reunited with my kids tonight.
Did she explain any of that? Did she explain that anymore? Did she expand on that, what she meant by that?
Just like the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit, like,
No.
you know.
Okay. And then, so then after she didn't see that the kids were in there and she walked outside and you guys talked outside for a little bit, and then she eventually got back into her SUV. And what is her SUV? What does she drive? What did she have there with her?
A white Kia Sorento.
A white Kia Sorento?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pretty sure that was it.
Okay. And did you have...
And no license plate.
That's the next thing I was going to ask. What was the license plate on it? What did you see on there?
I was going to take a picture.
It was a piece of paper.
I was going to take a picture of the license plate, you know, to report it, but they didn't have a license plate. It was just a white paper, so the car must have been new.
Okay.
With a permit or something.
Okay. And then she sat there in the car for, you said, roughly about 20 minutes, and you saw that, was she seated in the driver's seat or the passenger seat when she got in the car?
Passenger.
Okay. So the only other person, if I heard that right, was that white male who was bald, who didn't say anything to you guys or didn't acknowledge you in any way. He was in the driver's seat?
He wouldn't look at the whole time with the car on.
Okay.
And I asked her, like, who's this guy?
And
trying to make eye contact with him, and he would not look at me. And she says, "He's my friend."
Okay. And
I have a lot of people helping me out and look everywhere.
Okay.
Because I said, "Why don't you go look somewhere else?" I'm sure, I don't know. Why would you think they're here? And she said, "I have people all over right now."
Okay. And then she sat there, you talked to her for a little bit, and then I think you guys eventually went back inside, and then I think, was it your neighbor called over and said that she had driven away, or what was that you said about, you guys went inside and then your neighbor talked to you guys?
Oh, no, while we were outside in the driveway,
Uh-huh.
That's when we were talking to our neighbor.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. But did I get that right, that eventually...
But eventually she drove away, but she was, like, driving up and down the street, like, and parking, like...
So she left, and then 20 minutes after, she came back 3 houses down across the street from our house. And then...
Parked.
And just parked there. And then I walk out, make sure she saw me, because I was going to walk out to her again and ask her what the heck was going on. But then she drove away again. And after that, she came back again. 20 minutes after, she drove by again, like twice.
And I was just driving by. She didn't park, but...
Okay. And so...
I was still alert, because I was, like, nervous.
Sure. Yeah. So when she was driving and returning and driving and returning, did she ever get out again of the car? Did she always stay in the car?
She stayed in the car.
Okay. And
I asked her, how do you know my address? How do you know where I live? And she said, I found it on Google. And I said, well, that's very scary. I just Googled it right now. It's not there. She said, I mean, you also posted on Instagram where you live. And I'm like, no, I did not.
I bet you she's got private investigator or something. I don't know.
So, do you guys have any cameras out in front of your house?
We have a Ring doorbell, but the problem is we have this pillar like right in front of it.
Okay. Do
Oh, and actually that night the battery was dead.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. It doesn't sound like then it recorded anything?
No.
Okay. So what if you had to give a time frame that she was at the house, kind of from beginning all the way to the last time that you saw her, even including her leaving and coming back and driving up and down the street, what would you say that time frame was? What would those hours be?
I'd say 8.
Yeah, I'd say at least 2 hours.
At least 2 hours, 2 hours and a half.
Okay. And then did you, and my understanding is Brandon had told me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys hadn't contacted the police that night or after it happened, is that right?
No, we did not.
Okay.
Didn't, because I didn't want to get involved because I am scared of her, of what she's capable of doing. We were about to do it, but then I'm scared that she's not going to go to jail or something, and then she's going to come after me or my kids. And my Brandon goes out of town a lot, and sometimes I'm at home alone with my kids, so I'm very, very scared, honestly.
No, I understand. I'm just trying to clarify. This is the first time that you talked to anybody about it outside of. I mean, you talked to anybody from the police about it. Is my point, right? Okay. All right. And then she kept repeating that. And Brandon, did I hear this right? That Brandon's involved in dark things, and that's what she kept saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that he's involved in some dark things, but Brandon. But Brandon only works for a satellite company, and most people, if not everybody.
Everybody loves Brandon.
Then it's LDS, and the company is LDS, like full of Mormons.
Right.
Brandon, if anything, his weakness is he's too generous with his business dealings, and he gets the short end of the stick. So he doesn't owe anybody money. He doesn't he has no bad business dealings. I know for sure Melani is just trying to make stuff up to make him look bad because she is absolutely freaking out at this point, if we're completely honest. With, the attempt on Brandon's life and all of these things, she's just trying to make stuff up.
And did you see the comments on Facebook, the post that she made?
Have you seen that Facebook post?
I haven't seen any Facebook posts. Does she have a Facebook page that she's put a particular post on?
Oh, yeah.
She's calling Brandon like a kidnapper and all this crap.
She made this post accusing Brandon of kidnapping the 3 kids, and then she said that she was going to give $10,000 to whoever gave him information about where Brandon or the kids.
There's a lot of Brandon's friends commenting saying, he's been you haven't talked to the kids in 3 weeks. Why are you just caring about that now? What? Why are you just caring about wanting to know where the kids is now? And it's just not adding up, dude.
And when I saw her, she didn't have a tear in her eye.
Oh yeah, Claudia.
Because
your kids, she's like, yeah, I do.
Because I was like, as a mother, and my kids are missing for 3 seconds at the store, I freak out. I go nuts and crazy, and I'm a mess. She was she was put together. Like nothing happened. I asked about the kids and how does she feel about it. You miss the kids, and I started a conversation about, this is what your kid did, and this is what your other kids did. And she said, yeah, she would not show any emotion.
Brandon, can you text me that Facebook post? Can you text me a link to that when we're done off the phone?
Yeah,
right now.
Okay.
Text the link.
No, I'll send you. I'm gonna screenshot the post with her name and that and everything.
But it's a lot of screenshots. There's like 180 comments. Like,
Is there a way to forward the link and you can just forward it right to my cell phone? Is there a way to do that, you think?
The problem is, I think maybe her page is private, so then you won't be able to see it. But
oh, I see.
Look
Okay.
at her, it's under Melani Boudreaux.
Okay.
Are you friends with Brandon Boudreaux on
No.
Add Brandon Boudreaux because she tagged him.
Okay, so you can view it through Brandon's Facebook page, so he probably has access to it then too, right?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You can see on Brandon's Facebook page.
Okay. All right. Anything else you guys
Do you
think?
have a court date tomorrow? Is that right, or something?
I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. He might have something tomorrow, but I don't know that.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I talked to Brandon briefly on the phone today. He didn't mention that to me, but that could be true. I don't know. I was trying to think of anything else that you think I should know or that would be helpful?
Brandon's a good dude, and he's
He's an awesome dad.
just trying to do his best. I mean, he's scared as hell because there was an attempt on his life, which you know about that, I'm sure.
And he cried a lot. I saw him cry multiple times for the kids, and he's just an awesome dad.
Melanie,
Love him.
you can put in parentheses or record this. That shit crazy.
Stop it.
Like, dude.
I don't think she's herself right now because of the way we saw her before. It wasn't like that now.
I guess.
Melanie that I knew.
Yeah, go ahead with that.
Melanie.
So would you say that this isn't how you usually know Melanie to be?
No, this is not how Melanie was.
Okay.
She was very sweet and always just smiling, and not only that, she was always like she will like never like it was like she didn't have a soul in her body. Like it was just like a cold person that she would not show any emotions to anything. I even tear up trying to tell her how, the older boy touched my heart by saying how much he loved his mom, and started tearing up a little bit, so trying to get her side, her emotions come out. Because she would not show any emotions. Like, yep, that's him. He's a good boy. That's it. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
That's just not Melanie. That's not Melanie. I swear. I know Melanie. We met Melanie. We hang out with her. We went on trips with them, and that was not Melanie.
I think at the end of the day that night, you're calling about that night.
Yeah.
Totally accused us of having your kids there, which wasn't true.
And then
she totally threatened us, which, we've described that guy that in the car to Brandon, and he thinks it's the same guy that tried to shoot him.
That she should him, not try.
And so,
And tell me again, what was the threat? What was it that she said at the end?
Well, it was general, but she pretty much said, if you know what's good for you and your family, you're going to tell us what. You're going to tell me where my kids are.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's what I would say is if when are you guys going to be back into town?
Saturday.
Okay. And you said somebody's out at the house right now watching the kids?
Yes, and I'm very scared. We were not going to come to this trip, but since it was already booked and everything was done, set for everybody, we came. But I'm still very nervous about what she's going to do, or because if you read on the messages on Facebook, she's accusing me of hiding the kids.
Okay. So the thing that I would relay is whoever's ever back at the house watching the kids are you're back at your guys' house right now?
Yeah, it's grandma.
Yeah.
Okay. So going forward, I would say I think it would be good to have them call the police if there's something suspicious or somebody that's parked out in front of the house that shouldn't be there, that like a neighbor that doesn't belong there. And that goes for you guys. If you guys get back into town and she shows back up looking for the kids, I would call us. Even if there's nothing illegal going on, I want the police to come out and document that she's out there and who they contact with her. So if she shows up there with somebody else looking for the kids, call that in so we can go out there and don't call me, but call the regular police department number and have them respond with somebody out there. So we can contact her and document that stuff.
Okay.
Okay, but also my neighbors are like, if I even ask my neighbor, hey, would you please put this on the GroupMe, because in the neighborhood page that this white car was here. She's like, oh, should we do it right now? And I said, well, maybe later. I don't know, maybe not, because I'm scared.
Well,
so we just left it at that.
I don't think it's a bad thing to talk to your neighbor about it, so that way they can call in case your mother doesn't see the car or something like that, to call back. I would be interested if that car shows up again. Your mother should definitely...
Well, I guess she has multiple cars. That's the thing.
Well, and that may be, and that could happen again. That's certainly possible. That's why I'm saying if there's a car that shows up that doesn't belong in front of your house and you don't recognize it from the neighborhood, meaning that it's you don't recognize it as being one of your neighbors or something like that, it doesn't hurt to call us to come out there to check it out. But in the meantime, especially this week, if you call your neighbor and talk to them about it, and she may have different cars, there's not a lot we can do about that, but if we know what she showed up in, and that car shows up again in the neighborhood, even if they're not doing anything illegal in the neighborhood, I want the police to go out and contact them, but to explain to them about the purpose of why you're having the call made and dispatched, because I want to know if Melanie shows back up there.
Okay.
We've been looking.
No,
yeah.
and most of the time once this happens, nobody shows back up again. But if it does happen again, call us so we can come out there and talk to her about it and contact her. And I want to and that way the police can contact whoever's in the car with her too.
Okay.
And being on a public roadway isn't illegal, but it doesn't mean the police can't come out and ask what they're doing there. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, because the problem is,
But yeah, we haven't seen it, but we will if we see it again.
Okay. All right. All right. I'll let you guys go, and then if you think of something else, or you can always text me or call me back at this number, okay?
Like, the thing is that she has a court date tomorrow, so I'm scared she's going to think I'm going to be hiding the kids while Brandon goes to court or something.
Well, and that's why it's just good to, she might. I can't, unfortunately, I can't predict what she's going to do, but I think it's important to communicate tomorrow with your mother, to just be aware if that car shows up at the house to call the police right away.
Okay.
That's the best we can do at this point, because I don't know what to think or what she's going to do or what's going through her head through it because of the court date tomorrow. I don't know.
For sure.
All right. Well, I appreciate your guys' time. If you think of something else or have any other information to pass along, feel free to give me a call. And then I think that's about it. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
All right. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Okay.